injury. So take this very seriously as we look at our forecast for Minneapolis, as Jim was just talking about. The Torcon is there. It's not zero. So we could see a few tornadoes, but we do anticipate damaging winds, severe winds, and hail 2 inches or greater. You're talking Lyme, egg-size hail, or even bigger than that. So let's time it out in a little more detail. Jim gave you just the overall scope of what was going to happen. But notice everything kind of gets together. All those winds are going to come together as we head towards the afternoon and linger into the evening hours. And that means that storms are going to pop off right when we're all going to bed. So this is either going to help lull you to sleep, or it's going to keep the whole household up. But that's not the only round that's coming through. We get a little bit of a break, and then we will get another one coming through. And I don't like nighttime storms because that's when they're the most deadly, because you're sleeping. There's no way to be woken up. A tree can fall right on a house. It can fall on a car. So these are things that we do get concerned about into the overnight hours. Also, people are driving. You can't really see when you're on the road, and your eyes just don't adjust like they used to when you are starting to age a little bit too. And I'm saying this because I have this problem. Your eyes just yesterday, I said to my husband, I'm like, what? I've always had like 20/20 vision. I was like, it's all blurry. I can't see it anymore. And the road's going to look really blurry when you have the windshield wipers going, especially if you need to replace them. You got the schmear all over your windshield. You got to watch it here along 90, Rapid City over towards Wall, where we get that wall of rain, wall of wind coming in as we head into the evening hours. We kind of quiet down a little bit. But a huge area could see those 75-mile-per-hour wind or greater. That's Cat 1 hurricane if you want to connect it to a hurricane, but also you're talking, EF0 tornadoes with some of these winds coming in and that large hail. We could see supercells, which are those rotating thunderstorms. They don't always necessarily put down tornadoes, but they do pump out the hail. So that is something that we'll be watching for us here as we get a couple rounds that come through. There they are blasting through Pier around 10 o'clock tonight. And then, Jordan, they shift.
Yeah, and it's a good reminder, too. Maybe if you could get your car.
Highs, anyway, that go back to the 1800s. But
yeah,
we do.
We do. I mean, close. It's 1895, but a win is a win.
A win is a win.
A win is a win. And unfortunately, we've been losing here throughout much of the state of Florida when it comes to the moisture because of Debbie. Don't forget, a lot of this moisture from Tropical Storm Debbie coming into Florida. We have kind of the haves and the have-nots story for us. We do have a lot of moisture on the west coast into South Florida, but into central. Notice central and like the east side along the I-95 corridor, things have been on the drier side, below average, 9-10 inches for us when we talk about our rainfall. And we have this little piece of upper level energy. See that spin? Those you have to really watch out for because they bring clouds, they bring showers, everything's going to be streaming in. And that diurnal heating will also help kick off some of these storms along the Gulf Coast. And even if you don't have rain, a lot of us will still have that cloud cover. And so that's something that you have to keep in mind is that, the forecast might say no rain, but you might have to also deal with those clouds coming in. We've had a boundary here, it feels like, for months that just has not moved. That's going to give us energy. That's going to pop off storms. And then we just have a juiced up. I mean, we are so juicy here. There's plenty of moisture in the atmosphere. That gives you the humidity, and that gives you the rain. Now, notice through Friday, it's not like we have loads of it. You'll have heavier downpours that will give you some of that potential flooding, but it's not going to kind of linger. So we'll get the storms and then they could blow away, the storms and then they blow away. But we really don't need the rain into places like Houston and New Orleans, where we are well above average. Houston, we're double digits above average. We're going to add to that. And Jordan, in New Orleans, I think we're like a little over 8 inches, almost 9 inches, I want to say, above average here into New Orleans.
I got it. All right, time now for our Monday morning.
We got a long way to go.
It only takes one. I remember 2022 was a quiet season. Then we had, Ian that hit. So keep that all in mind. Right. Let's take a look ahead in the T-Mobile Coast to Coast forecast and give you a peek at the temperatures in your area, your travel plan for the week ahead. And we are going to see the storms linger right around the Gulf Coast today. We get those kind of sticking around. Big ridge in the center of the country. Storms go up and over that as we go not only through today, but also as we head into tomorrow. And even into our Wednesday, we are going to stay hot, though. Look at New York, 90 degrees for our Wednesday. Thursday, we cool off with the showers that are coming in, so that will be much needed for us. And then as we roll into our Friday, it gets a little bit more unsettled, but at least our temperatures are Welcome back into America's Morning Headquarters. I'm meteorologist Stephanie Abrams alongside meteorologist Jordan Steele and Jim Cantori. A rocky start to the week. Dangerous storms targeting parts of the plains, the upper Midwest, and the Great Lakes today. And by the way, that threat lasts into tomorrow. And we could have widespread winds. Yes, we could have a tornado, but that wind damage and that hail damage, Jim, is what is going to be at the top of the list, and it could be quite extensive.
Yeah, and sadly, some of this is going to be overnight.
Yeah,
right?
Still ask me questions every single year. So this is one of those things that we really need to pay attention to. But the rain in Florida, it has been really heavy, especially in the west part of the state, the north part of the state. Don't forget, we had Debbie that went through, giving us some of these heavier downpours. A little bit drier on the East Coast and on into Central Florida, where we're actually below average for Vero, which is right here, which is right there, and then Orlando right there. But Tampa, Miami, Tallahassee, we are anywhere from 5 to nearly 10 inches above average on rainfall. It is our rainy season, right, which coincides with tropical season. That makes sense. We've got that tropical atmosphere, those thunderstorms that are going to pop, especially with that diurnal heating that helps. And we also have a boundary that's been laying over Florida. I feel like there's just been this stationary boundary, at least since last week, that's been giving us the storms. And then you've got the little spin in the atmosphere, a little vorticity, and look how that brings in a lot of moisture right off the Gulf of Mexico, can kind of go over those same areas. And that means that you could get potentially some localized flooding. So just keep that in mind. But as we get into the evening hours, everything quiets down, like majority of us, and then it pops up again as we head into the afternoon hours. But we've got a very wet, moist, juicy, what's another adjective that I could use to let you know just how, I mean, you guys got any other words?
Oh, gosh, I'm
wet,
ripe.
We got a wet atmosphere. Sticky, that's a good one. Yeah. Oof. It's hard when you're on the spot. This is why whenever I watch Jeopardy or any of these game shows, we got juicy. If I watch any of these game shows, I always feel bad for them because you're yelling at home. But when you're in the moment, sometimes you're like, brain, why are you not giving me the answer?
So somebody's yelling at you right now on the other side of the TV.
Yeah, someone is yelling me at a word like, Abrams, you forgot this one.
Hyper moist.
There you go.
I don't know.
Hyper moist. I like that, Jim.
That's not bad for a Monday.
No, it's not.
I don't know where I pulled it from.
Yeah.
Hurricane Hone.